people came to this. We wanted like 20, or expected 20. Anyway, I'm Barry. I am the editor and writer for SegaBits.com. To my left,
I'm AJ Rosa, the creator of the Monologue with Sega YouTube series where I review games.
over here.
I'm David Frisk, also known as David the Lurker, writer and administrator at Sonic Retro.
He brought a whole bag of imported choose-your-own-adventure Sonic books.
If we get bored, that's what we're doing.
So if anyone wants to go get drinks later, we can read those.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally we have...
Corey Monroe from Sega Bits and the website of the Dead. Huge fan of the House of the Dead. I used to been scared of the franchise pretty much. And I'm a huge fan of all the franchises like Burger Fire, as you see right here. Kiriyuki, Wakashiwa, Yuki Akira, yeah,
that's where I show up.
Yeah, showing off, yeah.
Do you have Fuentes?
Oh man, where's Fuentes?
Was this your Daisy Fuentes move?
Yeah.
This is the greatest Sega game.
Alright. So, today we're going to have 4 mini panels in one big panel. To keep things moving, if we're running over time, I'm going to raise this and say Pilates, and we'll move on. Because this is Sega's famous Daisy Fuentes Pilates game. And maybe we'll give it out at the end of it.
So
it's worth $4.99, $4.49 if you're a pro member. So if you can show your pro member, that's it. If you have a pro member card, you can have it.
I'm sadly not a pro member.
Well, anyway, a brief history of Sega Bits, also known as the part where I gloat. We started in February 2010 by 2 active Sega fans in the community. George out in California and Ryan out in the UK. Really, at the time when we started the site, there weren't any other Sega fan sites outside of maybe tiny blogs run by one person, like Blogger.com. The ones that did do general Sega news, they closed their doors. But thankfully, George and Ryan, they had the motivation to start a new site, Sega Bits. And really, we just wanted to create a site that we would want to visit. So we put a lot of thought into navigating the site, the design. We're always updating it. We actually have a new design coming out in the next few weeks. Big thing is covering modern Sega news. I know some people might think, oh, they still make games, but surprisingly they do, and there is news to cover. So we do that. We also do a lot of original content. That's a good way to keep people to come back to the site because, yeah.
And we also talk about the indie titles coming out for like Dreamcast and the Mega Drive Genesis.
And we'll cover stuff like if a guy left Sega but he's going to be making a new game like Child of Eden, we'll at least, you know, report a little bit on the announcement of the game and tell people it came out. But we try not to go too far outside of Sega. But yeah, a lot of our writers, they come from the Sonic Stadium, Sonic Retro. We also have a lot of fan sites dedicated, or a fan site dedicated to localizing Sega games. Panzer Dragoon fan site is also a partner of ours, and the House of the Dead. So, video content by AJ Rosa and Liam Ashcroft, who's out in the UK. It's his prom today. He's wearing a blue suit, so he likes Sonic.
Yeah, he has a life, so he couldn't.
Yeah. And but yeah, all this hard work really it led to us becoming the #1 Sega news site on the internet in search results and visits. I mean, we get a so because of all that, we've been able to attend E3, which is kind of rare for a Sega fan site to make it out there. We've also been able to interview former official Dreamcast magazine staff. If you love that magazine, check out episode 50 of our podcast. We had Simon Cox and Francesca Reyes on, as well as I forget what his name was, but he was the former editor-in-chief, Ricardo Torres of GameSpot. So it was a really good talk. We also had, just a few weeks ago, Tom Kalinske, the former president of Sega in the 90s. We've also had just a lot of great people from the past and from the present, from the company. But yeah, we merged with Sonic Retro in a sense. They're our sister site now, so when their site goes down, our site goes down.
Right, yeah, which is always
which is always whenever Shenmue news hits, the server goes down.
Like when Yu Suzuki puts up
the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which happened, what, yesterday? The day before?
We also have Sega Retro, the Sega Information Wiki. It's the largest Sega wiki on the internet, from what he tells me.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. There's no other wiki that doesn't exist.
And that's a good seed into surviving the Dreamcast apocalypse. This is a little roundtable discussion that we're going to kick off with.
Remembering the Dreamcast.
if anyone remembers the Dreamcast, it launched in Japan November 27th, 1998, day before my birthday. It released in the US September 9th, 1999, which is a far more memorable date just because of all the nines that they threw in there. And then the UK release, October 14th, but who remembers that because we're in the United States. And unfortunately, it died too young. March 30th, 2001 was when the system was discontinued.
That's
sad.
in the US, right?
That's in the US. But
Japan, it went long.
Japan went until about, I think, 2006,
Right.
unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for us.
Right.
And, but let's just kick things off, go around and say how we took the Dreamcast's discontinuation. Was it inevitable, or did Sega still have a chance to save the console? You have an opinion.
Why do I have to start?
Because I was just talking for like
You're
5
in the
minutes.
Dreamcast shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was, in my opinion, by that point, at least looking back, I remember Sega was pretty much screwed. Pretty much. I mean, I'm sorry, in the US, it was obvious, like I had a lot of friends that would try and buy gaming consoles and stuff like that, and so many of them would be confused. It's like, here comes the Genesis, but then not too long after, you get the Sega CD, and then you got the 32X, which was supposed to hold us over until the Saturn's original launch date. And through all their screw-ups, confusing the hell out of people, like I had one friend that lived on my street, and yeah, like, he comes over and he's like, oh man, I'm so upset. I'm like, why? I got a Sega CD. What's the problem? Sega CD's awesome. My brother was one of the first people to buy the Model 1 with the big tray, and it was huge and fat. It came with like a ton of games, and it was $300. And we played the crap out of it, and I'm like, the Sega CD's awesome. What's the problem? He's like, I don't have a Genesis. Well, sucks to be you. So, but that ended up confusing a lot of consumers, namely parents who didn't know how to read. No offense to those parents if you're here, but or your parents if they screwed you over. But yeah, there was a lot of market confusion. Then Sega freaking out when they saw that PlayStation was coming out and it was starting to gain some momentum, rushed it out. Sold out, yes, but it came out at, what was it, $399? Yeah, $400. And it's funny, people cry now when you get like the PS4 and the Xbox One. It's like, oh my god, it's $400. It plays movies, it goes online right out of the box. Yeah, and you can do all this crap with it. The Saturn only played video games and music CDs, or if you lived in Japan, video CDs, which is badass. Yeah, I will say that. No, I like dead formats. But still, that created too many problems. Like, because they rushed it and they didn't have enough units ready, they screwed over KB Toys, which resulted in them liquidating their entire stock and getting rid of it. So they wouldn't even carry Sega stuff. So that hurt a little bit. I mean, you go KB Toys, who cares? They're gone now. Right. Then it was still a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, they were in every mall, pretty much.
Yes,
in
every
America.
mall.
Yeah.
So.
And if you read the Console Wars book too, you'll realize just how important it is to wine and dine places like Walmart and Target. Like, if they don't want to carry your console, you're pretty much dead. So
by the time the Dreamcast came out, and again, wasting so much R&D trying to develop all this stuff, and again, spreading themselves too thin, because by the time the Saturn came out, they were still supporting the Genesis, they were supporting the Sega CD up to a point, they were still supporting the 32X, and still trying to push it on us, even though we're like, but the Saturn's coming, who cares? And they had the Game Gear and the Pico. And the Game Gear, they kind of screwed themselves because here comes the Sega Nomad. So it's like nobody wants to buy the new one. Yeah, the Nomad, obviously bury the Nomad.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think by that point, it was too little too late. It was for the Dreamcast, which is a shame because I have my love-hate relationship with the Dreamcast. Because for me, it was kind of like a harbinger of doom.
Well, yours died on you a lot.
Well, no, not just died on me, but everything that the Dreamcast represents, because I hate modern console gaming. I do.
You're the perfect convention.
They feel like underpowered PCs. You know, it's, for me, not to sound crass, but for me, console gaming is like masturbation. It's instant gratification. You don't have to sit there and wait for it to download a patch and all this crap. You put in the cartridge, it's done. You're gaming. But like I got GTA 5, it takes an hour and a half to upload the patch, and then I have to wait for it to upload the system and blah, blah, blah. that's what the Dreamcast kind of, because once that came out, every console started trying to go online, do downloadable content, all this kind of stuff. And it was like, no, that's not console gaming for me. But the Dreamcast was great because it did have some fantastic games. It's the only console I like to play.
And
Crazy Taxi or Code Veronica.
It had a fantastic U.S. launch too. I mean, I'll just name some of them. We had Hydro Thunder. You know, there was NFL 2K, Sonic Adventure, Ready to Rumble, Soul Calibur, Tokyo Extreme Racer, Trick Style. I don't know about Pen Triathlon, but if that's for you. Mortal Kombat Gold. You know, it was just basically every single
Power Stone.
Power Stone. So if you like fighters,
And we got
racing,
Sonic
platformers.
Adventure.
Yeah.
The only
right
thing
off
that was
the
missing
bat.
was an RPG. Well, Blue Stinger, if you consider that.
Alpha Dead 2, pretty much. And,
Action RPG, maybe?
Yeah. But I guess my opinion, I loved the console. It was I was one of, and I think David too. I was one of those Genesis kids who loved the Genesis so much that I completely passed the Saturn. And by the time Sega was bringing out the Dreamcast, I was like, well, why would I want to get a Saturn? There's a new Dreamcast, new console coming out from Sega. So yeah, really the Dreamcast was my second Sega console, and I like it just as much as the Genesis. I thought it was just lots of fantastic arcade ports. Really, unlike the Genesis, a lot of them were one-to-one with what you could play at the mall or at the local arcade. But, you know, unfortunately, and I think Adam Sessler broke the news when I was watching TV that the Dreamcast was going to be discontinued, so I've hated him ever since. So you don't want to tell me that.
It took until that point? I mean,
Well, I hated him before that, too. It's weird. Yeah, so, you know, it was, I think Sega was an innovative company, but I don't think they were a smart company. And that's really what killed them. But not killed them in the console race. But I mean, they were the first one out, so you had the street cred to, as a kid, to be like, I have the 128-bit console, when's yours coming out, Sony guys? But unfortunately, when theirs did come out, it had a DVD player, and the Dreamcast didn't. I guess from what I've heard from some of the official Dreamcast magazine guys, they really weren't clued into a lot of the goings-ons at Sega. Sega was like, hey, we're having a presentation of the Dreamcast chip, you should come on over. And they're like, what the hell's that? They go over and they're showing Dreamcast on a chip. You can put it in anything. And they're like, but that means that you're not really first party anymore. You're kind of, it's more of like a software, like a weird kind of 1.5, you're putting the Dreamcast into anything. And that didn't really take off, and then they discontinued the console. I think if I don't think they had a chance to save the console, but looking back, at least the Japanese games were still coming out. It was nice to import those. I was one of the lucky few who imported Shenmue 2 from the UK for the Dreamcast. But
Did you use little file conversion so you could continue your Shenmue 1
I wasn't
save?
that smart.
Oh, man, you're missing out because you can bring all your little figures and.
Let's actually, sorry guys, but I want to move on to the next question. You guys can talk a little more for that. What are your thoughts on Sega's third-party era and the Sega of today? And I think we have a lot of opinions on that. We also have a lot of, I guess, friends who work at Sega.
Yeah, in various capacities.
Yeah.
I mean, like when the Dreamcast died, I was upset. But right after, the third-party content that they were producing seemed really strong. What was on the Xbox? I mean, because you had Jet Set Radio Future, you had Shenmue 2, you had Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Outrun 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at the game store yesterday with AJ, and it's just like the Xbox is the Sega sequel machine.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you
because
really
I
think
think
about
that
Toe Jam
Microsoft
RLC.
wanted to add Dreamcast compatibility.
Backwards compatibility,
Yeah,
yeah.
to the,
So-
yeah.
That would have been sense.
So, I mean, so the Dreamcast seemed like it was sad, but since it was so strong out of the gate with the new consoles that were coming out, it just seemed like, well, Sega wasn't really going anywhere. It was just, you could buy it on any system.
Mhm.
But after a couple of years, it just sort of petered out, and all of a sudden you're just dealing with, well, here's a port of Sonic Adventure, and here's Sonic Heroes.
It's a director's cut.
And Shadow, and 06. So like, there are other Sega games, right? I don't.
It was like the energy they had carried over from the Dreamcast discontinuation
Yeah.
probably died around 2003, 2004.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if just the people working there
Mhm.
were disheartened.
And I'd say the worst years for the company and the fans was between 2004 and 2008. There were a lot of really bad decisions by the company. A lot was because who was the president at the time? He made a lot of third-party. There was a lot of like horrible Marvel games.
Simon Jeffrey?
Is that right?
I think it was Simon
I don't know.
Jeffrey.
Look
That's
at us.
right.
We
Look
just-
it up.
Was he
Uh,
responsible for Sonic 2006?
I don't think anyone's really responsible. The problem is that no
Someone's
one.
responsible.
Well, because Sonic 06, it was a case where
Blame someone.
it was a case. Just real quick. Naka was supposed to be in charge of it, but he was already planning on leaving Sega. Then the guy who made Sonic and the Secret Rings was supposed to be in charge of it, but then he left because he decided to make a Wii game that wasn't the same as the new gen, the next gen, and then nobody really knew what to do with those things. And I'm not apologizing for it because it's terrible. I played it from beginning to end, and I cried the whole way. But
It's no use.
right. There's no use. But I mean, because that really just that was the epitome of Sega doesn't know what they're doing anymore. Because that was supposed to be the rebirth of Sonic, and Sonic was always like the hallmark of everything else Sega's doing. So other games that were coming out at the same time, I mean, I don't even remember what else Sega put out at the same time because it was just overshadowed by this terrible, terrible Sonic game.
I will say 2010 was a really great year for Sega. I mean, when you look at all, there was Vanquish. They had a lot of great platinum titles. Vanquish, Bayonetta. They also had Sonic Colors.
Yeah.
There were a lot of great HD ports at that time. A lot of like quality re-releases, not
right, because the Dreamcast re-releases were good. The original Genesis
ones,
were just kind of like there was no effort put into them. I remember one of the PS2 compilations, or maybe it was an Xbox, had a really bad HD filter where everything was just like not even fuzzy. It was almost like matte. It was just, it didn't look HD. It just looked bad. Anything.
Patrick, what's your opinion on Sega 2014?
2014?
And try to be nice. No.
Right now, I still like their games to this day. They're coming out with Aliens, Isolation.
That looks nice. And it's internally developed. People forget that.
Yeah, Hatsune Miku Project Eva F. We also have the upcoming Sonic Boom, which really looks awesome.
You like it?
And like, yes, I really do like it. It's like I have friends at home like complaining about like how Knuckles all buffed up and stuff. But I keep telling them it's separate from the main universe, from the spin-off. There's two different dimensions pretty much. Like, you know, you read from like DC Comics and Marvel, there's like multiple universes pretty much. Yeah, and there's some Japanese games they've been re-releasing. They re-released Virtua Fighter 2, Finding Vipers, Sonic the Fighters, and there's also the Sega Vintage Collection I really like. They had Alex Kidd, Revenge of Shinobi, and so on and so forth.
Monster World 4 finally came out.
Monster World 4, yes. And I kind of wish they like re-release some of their old classic games a little bit more. As long as they like keep selling them, pretty much like more advertisements towards their games. And I really want to see a re-release of Sakura Tyson in English.
Oh, you love those games.
So, but I'm sorry, guys.
It's a dating sim.
Yeah, I know. It has a good storyline to it.
Is that supposed to say something about her character?
Oh, Sakura Shinguji, yeah. Well, she is in the next All-Star game, man.
So I guess, just to wrap things up, sorry, Patrick.
You should be.
Well, I am. You know, it's the company has its ups and oh yeah, this is our time to move.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, all right. But despite the ups and downs of the company, they're still around. I think that's pretty wild when you consider. You look at Atari, you look at SNK, you look at just a lot of the hardware manufacturers of the 80s and 90s who left the market even before Sega. They're not really around anymore outside of maybe a larger company buying up the brand name. And while you could argue that Sammy bought Sega in 2008,
that was earlier than that.
they still remain separate entities. You still have staff from the early era, so it wasn't like a clean sweep and they're just using the branding. You know, the company's still there, and you can find some pretty great games. Binary Domain, if you haven't played that, that's an awesome game from the Yakuza guys.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. And like Sega's made some great decisions. They haven't kept up with them on Platinum Games, but Bayonetta 2 is coming out. I don't know who we can thank for that, Nintendo, Sega, or money, but yes, I mean, and I guess you look at us. You know, we've been kicked around a lot. We're the fan base that.
Why are you looking at me when you say
too.
that?
I've heard your stories over the last few days. But you know, just like the company, we're still here. We're still liking the games when they do release them, And there's so much great retro content out there that if you are bitching and moaning about not having a new Sega game and you haven't played Shenmue, Shenmue 2, Panzer Dragoon Saga, I mean, the list goes on. There are a ton of great games from their past that deserve to be revisited or played for the first time.
If they can find the source
If they
code.
can find
to them.
it,
Yeah.
Come over to my house.
I want
Don't.
if they release Alien Storm, the arcade port, like 3 players, pretty much.
That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
I want an HD version of Snail Maze. That's what I'm hoping for.
Pilates. Hey Patrick, you want to hit the lights?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to look at a short trailer for our This Is Saturn series by Liam, little British boy with a dream to make video content, and then we're going to watch a premiere of AJ's My Life Sega. You want to take the execution?
Oh God, right. Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah, then we need to do the raffle.
Maybe I should. Yeah, I'll turn one of the lights off.
All right.
You're smart.
I'm gonna.
Oh, right. Lights are right back on. Okay, right. So, secret history of the Hidden Palace Zone. Now, that's because the Hidden Palace Zone is very special meaning to Sonic Retro as a whole. So, I figured, since this is really the first time Sonic Retro has been at a convention officially.
Seeing people in person.
Yeah, usually we hide in basements, not necessarily our own, but yeah. So let's see what we got here. Yeah. So yeah, being a Sega fan, one can't help but think about what could have been. What if Sega Japan had signed off on Sony being involved in the follow-up to the Genesis? What if the Dreamcast had been the savior it was intended to be? What if Pepsi Man had been in the American version of Fighting Vipers? But for fans of Sonic the Hedgehog, wondering about the what ifs and should have beens reaches much further back. It goes back to 1992 with the release of, one of the most anticipated sequels of the era, and that one level just didn't make the cut.
But first, click it.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, he's our favorite Sega employee. He just quit yesterday. He was the brand manager for just about everything.
Yeah, he was brand manager for Sonic for a long time, Hatsune Miku. He got his start because he was obsessed with Phantasy Star Online, which I'm sure at least one person here was. Or two, there we go.
And he started at 19
Yeah.
as a Sega employee.
And
He was the brand manager at 22 years old.
Yeah.
That's
He also has an unnatural obsession with Big the Cat. But don't we all?
Very nice.
So, here we go, yeah. So, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It wasn't a question of whether or not the game was going to come out, it was just, when was it going to be out? What was it going to look like? And these were the initial screenshots that came out. You had the Emerald Hill, you had Dust Hill, which never got beyond that, and you had the Hidden Palace Zone. Although, at the time, nobody knew what the levels were called. As more media came out, they really focused on the Emerald Hill, and they even had an early appearance right here.
Hands on the controller.
Man.
Ready, set,
Here we go.
go.
Now,
Okay.
not as cool as the
She
Wizard,
lost the ring.
but
She's grabbing. She's up to 3, 5. Sonic, of course, using hyperspeed to run. He's spinning and hits the other animals. You freeze and make them robots. And make them animals instead of robots. She's up to 17. She has to get around this. Back up a little bit. Another space. What is wrong with you? Well, listen, you were doing so. I just couldn't get that speed up there.
Ferguson.
Oh man!
he is a dreamboat right there. But yeah, so yeah, not as cool as the Wizard with Mario 3, but over time, GamePro, EGM, these are just some of the shots that were in those magazines showing off. It doesn't look exactly the same as that first shot, but it's definitely the same level. It was never really, it was never really the focus of any of the previews, because Sonic 2 was supposed to be twice as big as Sonic 1. It was just one level. Who knew what was going to show up? Here it is, November 23rd, 92.
Oh my God.
This is the release party.
First of all, I'd like to tell you this game, Sonic 2, is a blast.
You look at a game and you say, oh, it's just moving your fingers, but really it's because you got to hit the fingers in the right place and on the right button.
Look at the difference. This is the exact same board and we're playing here together, but she's in a different part of the board than I am.
Yeah, you know, Sonic 2 is great. It's better than the first one. You have the great graphics. Sonic has a new friend called Tails, a fox, two tails. Cool.
Oh man. That poor man has no idea what's going on outside that mask.
It's been on the shelves in the United Kingdom for just today, and they just reported a complete sellout. I've also spoken to our folks in Japan. Sonic is causing an equal frenzy in that country.
Look at that frenzy!
Sonic 2 is super.
Yep, that was around the world, November 23rd, Sonic Tuesday, and it was amazing, yeah.
Why isn't it a federal holiday?
Yeah, it should be. Well, this is for Sega. Now, the thing is that for people who were following all the coverage prior to the game's release, they noticed there was no hidden palace. And the sound test was just another moment of, stabbing in the wound, because sound test 10, is the music in here or not?
No, it's not. Sorry.
I mean, who cares?
I can sing it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a haunting theme that was nowhere else in the game, and there was a lot of rampant speculation as to whether or not the Hidden Palace Zone was even in it. This is Usenet 93. I have heard a rumor claiming there is access to the Hidden Palace Zone in Sonic 2. Supposedly you have to be supersonic to be in Mystic Cave Zone 2. From there, a hidden checkpoint is the gateway. I figured this is a load of BS, considering the net hasn't reported anything. Still, it would be cool. And in case you're wondering, no, I did not make this up. Read it in the Video Game Fanzine. Guess that's... we were kids, wild speculation, and here's someone just pretty much saying, hey look, yeah, Hidden Palace isn't in it, and they should have removed Casino Night, and they get a little bit angry at Casino Night for Tropical Zone, and yeah, but they like the music. Everyone loves the music. Just to prove here that people have been complaining about Sonic since day one.
Yeah.
Now, people would write in, and it's just a couple of letters I'm not going to read, but it basically is people asking, hey, where's the level? Magazine editor said it's not in there, but nobody wanted to believe them, and the only real confirmation was in the UK there was a book called the Solid Gold Sonic 2 Guide, and the author says, yeah, I played these levels, they're not in the final game, but I'm going to show them to you anyway, because I guess he wanted to be a bit of an ass, but this is just the Sonic 3 level select kind of fueling the fire, because that icon right there, obviously, Hidden Palace Zone, this is just sort of showing, and then of course, there was a level called Hidden Palace Zone, and for some people this was enough. Sonic and Knuckles, you got a level, you got the name, you don't need anything more. But jump ahead a little bit, 1998. That was the golden age of the Sonic hacking research scene that eventually led into retro, what retro is now. There was a guy named Tom. He had a website called Tom's Hacking Station, and he wanted to be able to just play what was left of the Hidden Palace Zone in the final version of the game. There was an actual replay code, but emulators at the time, Genesis was the big one. You couldn't put in codes, you couldn't even play Sonic's two-player levels. But what he did was he just took a save state, opened it up in a hex editor like this, and was fiddling around figuring out what numbers matched with what levels, and he was able to get what was... Oh.
You hit it again.
No, this is...
Is this not it?
No, this is the wrong video.
Oh.
No, well. Unless it's after this.
I think it's after
this. Okay. Well, basically, I'll show the video in a second, but after you figured out how to get to the level, even though there's nothing there, a man named AJ Frida, who is probably best known for making Sonic Robo Blast 2, which is the oldest fan game in the world, click and create, he put together what he thought the Hidden Palace Zone would be, just using those terrible scans of screenshots, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world. Or wait, is this? Yeah. awkward. I'm not gonna show the whole thing, but oh, here. This is what happens if you try to play Hidden Palace Zone in the retail version of Sonic. There he is.
That's fun.
He falls.
It's better than Sonic 06.
Yeah.
Let's hear it in Sonic 06.
Oh, Jesus. So yeah, that was supposed to be before, but
That was awesome.
What time do we have?
About 3 minutes.
Okay. So there was a guy named Andre Dirk. He had a website called Secrets of Sonic the Hedgehog. I stole this image from Retro Collect because I couldn't find it anywhere else. He said, hey, I have the Sonic 2 beta, and he took pictures of it. It seemed to be legit. He was trying to sell it on Usenet, and a guy named Simon Y. He remembered, as a child, he lived in China for a little bit. He had access to a version because you could buy pirates real easily, but he got rid of it because he didn't realize what it was. He thought it was just a broken, buggy Sonic 2. So he said, hey, he got sick and tired of Andre talking about this auction all the time. He would make a post every single day. So he's like, yeah, basically, hey, you don't need to pay $150. I put it on here. You can download it. I apologize if I wasted your time, which is a really weird thing to think about when, I mean, you had the beta, which contained a playable version of the Hidden Palace Zone. You had things like Wood Zone, the mysterious Genocide City, which wasn't even in the game, but yeah. And all of this, like Simon Y, he made the site called Sonic 2 Beta, and all that went to the original Sonic Stuff Research Group, which was pretty much the cornerstone of what evolved into, well, the current SSRG and Sonic Retro and other sites of those ilk. But there were two sides of people who wanted to, one who wanted to dissect the game, and two people who wanted to figure out what actually happened, why Hidden Palace Zone didn't exist. These three people right here, Tom Payne, Brenda Ross, Craig Stitt, they were the main American artists on the project. And Craig Stitt is the one who drew the art of Hidden Palace Zone. He said that it's one of the favorite things that he did, and it was a shame that it wasn't in the game. Trying to remember where I'm going. But the development of Sonic 2 wasn't the smoothest thing in the world. Mark Cerny, he was the guy in charge of the Sega Technical Institute. He had gotten a hold of Yasuhara previously. He was supposed to come to America in 1990, but because of the Gulf War, he didn't. What?
2 minutes.
2 minutes! Oh man, here we go. I wrote too much. Basically, the marketing people at Sega of America said, we don't want Sonic 2 yet. So in September, they were starting to make a completely different game. And then come November, they said, oh, by the way, we actually do want Sonic 2. So the development time is already cut short. The Hidden Palace Zone was one of the first levels designed, created, implemented. This just here is the concept art that Tom Payne drew of the enemies. You have Stego, which was later renamed as Stegway in the mobile port that just came out last year. And this is just sort of an example of the grid system that they used. Because they had something called the Digitizer Mark III. That's how they drew all their art, all the level design, the enemies. Yeah. And then this is just Craig Stitt saying that his only complaint was that sometimes it felt like it was only the Americans' art that was getting cut. And it was because the Sega Technical Institute was just, it was supposed to be Japanese and Americans working together, but there was a definite culture clash. Some people like to say it was sort of racist, but it's not. It's just two very different philosophies. A bit of Hidden Palace did sneak into Sonic Spinball, right there, that's the background. And then Genocide City, the Cyber City, which is supposed to be the third act of Metropolis Zone, but that art was reused in the machine. And then this is just sort of the early versions of some of the hacking guides when we were dissecting what, not just Sonic 2, but the other Sonic games. There was Nemesis and, it's just too much.
Too much.
Yeah, and then that led to some of the Sonic 2 hacks. Some originally just sort of save states, but then as more and more of the actual game was disassembled, I mean, right now, like this is just versions of the Hidden Palace some people have made. There are entire disassemblies, the source code, somebody can just go in and do whatever they want, and that's what's led not just for some of the ROM hacks, but things like Sonic Before and After the sequel. The Sonic Worlds engine is based heavily on how the physics work. Megamix, there's the S Factor. Omochow Edition. That's my favorite ROM hack there. And then in 2013, Taxman and Stealth, that's Christian Whitehead and, what is his real name? Simon Tomlin. They were involved in the mobile port of Sonic 2. And Craig Stitt, this is just him commenting on that. And there we go. I guess those other videos are gone.
If you want to play it, you can get Sonic 2 iOS. It's really cheap or free sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know if is it because it was free yesterday on Android. I don't know if it still is.
But it's a fantastic.
But yeah. Well, there is I forget the code offhand, but if you put it into the sound test, you play the original map that's in the Sonic 2 beta, and it plays the original music, the sound test. Yeah.
You did really good.
I know, I just did too much intro. Well, there you go. It's a lot of nonsense.
Thank you.
I feel like that sounds familiar.
Well,
oh, okay.
I just bought these.
Yeah, sure.
They were giving them away 2 for 1.
No shit.
They were $1 each.
Who's that jackass on the front?
Oh, that's Mickey Mac.
Oh, that's who I thought it was.
This awesome guy, I don't know.
No, I heard he's a dick.
I'd love to meet him.
Really?
Yeah.
When'd you know it?
In Hook or Wipeout?
Why not get both?
I only have 15.
I'd say Wipeout.
Yeah.
The case is in great shape, and it's something that you've been wanting for your collection. It takes priority.
I like the way you think.
Are we gonna see the games or what? Show me!
So introduce yourselves.
Oh, I'm AJ Rosa.
I'm Corey Maru, Patrick Gardner.
Now, what you don't know, he just got through whipping my ass on Fighters Megamix. And I mean righteously whipped. Mickey Mac, if you're watching this, he's better than you. I just want you to know this. He doesn't cry like a little bitch. Admittedly, he had no reason to cry because I never won a single round. Okay?
He's better looking, too.
Yeah.
Younger, stronger, better, faster. The newest model.
Yes. But yeah, now I'm trying to get my revenge. We're playing Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter on my American Model 2 Saturn using the Cormac Ram Kart. And I am Ryu and Wolverine, he's Spider-Man and Cyclops.
Yes.
So, we are gonna see how this goes. It's already loaded, we're just waiting because Barry finally decided to start filming. And we are ready. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Quick! June and Nahinda, yo! Okay, get my buttons on. Okay, well that's fine. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that works.
Oh, damn it, not that way.
Oh god, keep going fast. Alright.
Damn it.
Gotcha.
Oh, damn it.
I'm switching out.
That's good because they never liked each other anyway.
Gee, no! Oh god, no. Alright. Alright, no.
Damn you! You rolled past me! Oh, you blocked me too.
Woo! No. Uh-oh. Let me put my meter up. Thanks. Oh. Oh god, no. No, no. Why you gotta kick my ass? You will not have your revenge, sir.
Oh, damn, we just went through the floor.
No! Yeah! Maximum Spider. No! No! Oh shit.
Yes! 34 hit combo.
No. Behold. There you go. My mom versus Capcom 2 skills. Kicking in. Gotcha. Behold.
Oh God, are you gonna win? Are you seriously gonna win? Maybe. Yeah. Oh Jesus! Ah! Oh. Ah. Oh God. Is there any game you're not good at? So I just need to know this. I will cease humiliating myself.
Any thoughts?
I know I need to step up my game now because after playing against punks like Mickey Mac, I need to up my game because I found a true champion. So
that's that. It's in a bag.
Whoa. Color. I don't believe what I just saw.
All right, now we're post too many games now. We've already done the con. You've obviously made your bounty.
Some of it.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
You got nothing. What kind of Sega fan are you?
I gave him some rare Sonic comics.
Right, you.
They're about 20 to 25 bucks on eBay.
Yeah.
And I gave them to him because, to me, Sonic comics are forgiving. They're not for raising the high price. I mean, the mere fact that you can get good comics for $5 from the same era.
Well, I still do have Iron Man 2.
Hey, right on. Yeah, you couldn't give that away, could you? Oh,
nobody wanted this.
Nobody wanted Daisy Fuentes Pilates?
I don't think anyone tried to take it.
Oh.
But I mean, look at Daisy. She's definitely Pilating.
Yeah, she's Pilating, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have a good con experience?
It was interesting. Because I'd never been to a video game convention before.
Never?
No.
Who?
First time. And I was put right on the spot the first time, too. How about that?
And how was your con experience, Barry?
It was very good. I bought a Sega Master System. It was the last American-released Sega console that I haven't owned.
Right on.
Only bought one game for it, Afterburner. I also got some, I showed him in the video earlier.
Oh, don't forget you have Stale Base.
Wipeout for Saturn.
That's your collection.
Yes, I have Virtua Fighter 3 TV.
Right on.
I have, and in here is the Japanese Shenmue.
Right on.
And then this super rare, this thing costs about $500.
You know, it makes me wish that that we were selling those because really the way you pimped them. Yeah, Sega CD Saturn. That was the console that never made it out, right? That was the combined Sega CD Saturn unit.
You could
that was the Uranus.
Saturn, if you look under your Saturn, there's some pegs and you can put it on the Sega CD. Not many people know that.
Right.
Oh yeah, totally.
And you can take the 32X, right, and you can crush it into a fine paste and layer it over the Saturn for an extra layer of protection.
Watch it. I like the 32X.